Hey YouTube! I'm having to redo some of these videos because after I did a thing last week I realised I hadn't plugged in the proper mic again, which kind of didn't sound too bad with the guitar, but the bass, the mics that you get on the webcams, which I'd overrun it, as I just can't do bass. So this is my pal Ivor's P-Bass. It says, well, it used to have a label on it saying Fender Precision Bass, but it's kind of fallen off. His thought, since I've did the last video, which is quite good, I'm doing a new one anyway. Basically what was wrong with this one was it's got Seymour Duncan pickups and there's wee dip switches on them, and he said it got really quiet and then it kind of stopped working, and it was like, dip switches make you think it might be active, so I took the scratch put it off and there was a battery, a 9 volt battery in here that was totally flat. I didn't know it was active. So the pots that were in it were normal, I don't know, like 500k pots, what you would normally expect. So the volume control, it did sort of work, but we'd say between 10 and 8 was 10 and 0 basically, and the tone control did nothing. That's what happens when you use normal pots with active pickups. You need 25k pots for these. It just so happened that I bought 25k pots for an active bass I did up last week, or the week before, and I was hunting about trying to find them. The best ones I could find was on Amazon. And I was toying with the idea, it was like so I could get them quicker, to get the Amazon Prime thing. You know, it was like a $5 postage or free tomorrow delivery with Amazon Prime for, I don't know, it was like £6 or £7 a month. So I was like, I want to do that. And I remember, Scott's got Amazon Prime. So he ordered them for me, got them sent to my house, and then a couple of days later he ordered something else and they were still in the basket, so he accidentally bought 2 sets. So I was like, right, I'll pay for them obviously. And then suddenly I got a bass that needed those parts. So I'd pre-ordered the pots without even meaning it. So it's now got 25k pots in it. Also the output jack wasn't wired in stereo. It is a stereo output jack, but it was wired normally. So when Ivor got this bass and it worked and then it started getting quieter, it's because the entire time the battery was on. You know, it's like whereas on this one, the stereo jack, it doesn't mean 2 signals, but basically when you take out the lead, it disconnects the battery. That's what the stereo thing is used for, so that it doesn't just run out when it's sitting in its case. And I looked this up. I'm kind of what Ivor thought was, he thinks it's a Squire neck put onto a different Squire body, and it's like, it didn't really ring. That didn't work for me because this is a nitro cellulose body. You know, it's got the nitro on it, and that's not artificial relic, and that's just dent. So I think this might be an old Fender, like a really old Fender, like a really expensive one. I'm not really sure. I did actually take photos of the inside of the neck pocket, and this neck has a fantastic bird's eye maple neck fingerboard, white binding, and it's got a Telecaster headstock, but the shape of it's really weird. It doesn't feel like any other bass. It's not miles. It's not in any way uncomfortable. It kind of feels flat. It's dead D-shaped as opposed to C, which kind of feels weird. No, but not weird. You don't go, I can't play this, it's weird. You just go, oh, that's quite interesting. It seems to have bigger shoulders on it. And I opened it up and looked on the back, and it's I'd never heard of this company. HANIA guitars, 27th of the 4th, 06. Martin Harrison? I don't know. So it's a HANIA guitars, and I did take a picture of the inside of the neck pocket on the guitar, and there's not really anything. It looks like there used to be something printed at some point, but I can't even make it out, so holding it up to you is not going to help out anything at all. Yeah, so because it's good, I think these pickups might be really expensive as well. You know, Seymour Duncan, but these are old ones. So this kind of strikes me as a no expenses spared bass. Really, it's not. I mean, you know, I were thinking it was like a Squire and a Squire. I think both of these bits are significantly more expensive and better, and the pickup. So let's hear what it sounds like. The tone now works. Fully on. Tone off. And if I looked up what the switches did. I couldn't find a Seymour Duncan spec sheet for the 3-switch one, but there was a 2-switch one, and it was something to do with resonant peaks and stuff. It's like, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know, maybe DIing it if you're working in a recording studio and you're a pure pro, maybe these things are going to notice. I couldn't. It's kind of doing something, but I can't describe what it's doing. That's just the top switch and the middle switch. I've done that one off, turn on the middle switch. Not the biggest switches. Okay, that's them all on. That's them all off. So I don't know. Maybe my ears aren't just good enough, or I'm maybe not doing something right. Maybe it works better for slap. For slap or something. Oh, it does. That's making a difference there, isn't it? That's the switches, I think, off. The switches are pretty fidgety though. Also, when I looked up the other pictures I'd seen of these pickups, had the pickups the other way around. So they had the switches on the bottom of this pickup rather than the top of this one. They don't make any difference. They don't get in the way. They're pretty low profile. Yeah, so I'm trying to keep this video quite short. So I've got a few to do to try and make up for the fact that I didn't notice that I had the mic up. I did 4 videos with the wrong mic on. Yeah, so I think this is a case of the owner doesn't really know what it is he's got. I don't think he paid what this guitar is worth. This feels like £1,000-pounder. Not weight wise. Weight wise, it's fine. This is not. I mean, he was saying, oh, I think it's 2 Squires. This is not Squire. This is not Mexican Fender. This is. Keep going. You know, this is. And I don't know. It's like I think I'd imagine he probably paid for the whole thing what the neck's worth, sort of thing. And especially these are fancy pickups, which apparently they don't make anymore. So they've got a desirable collectability in them as well. And the body's, as I said, it's nitro. So no idea. I would say it was ash. In fact, even if you look at it, like through the grain, I think it might actually be one piece of ash. I don't see any joins in it. So what is a one piece of ash P-base body, nitro cellulose finished, and relics, but not done with a belt sander. You can tell it's not done with a belt sander or sandpaper. You can tell this is done by belt buckles and accidentally bashing it off door frames for whatever. So an absolutely thoroughly nice bass. I need to look up the model number of these pickups, and I'll put in the Hanlon, whatever it was they make, in the description, Because how do you describe it? You can't just go, oh, it's a parts caster. Who's going to watch that? It's not going to show up in any feed, so I'm going to have to put in what these pickups are. It's not. I've not done a very good demonstration of the wee flicky switches because I don't really know what they do. Something about resonant peaks and something about. When you read the actual bump on it, it makes perfect sense. You go, oh, you've got to have a lower tolerance to high frequencies or whatever it is it says. I don't know. And it's like, just makes it sound a little bit different, but it sounds pretty amazing on its own. I mean, I'm not a fan of active pickups in guitars, but on a bass, yeah, active pickups are good. And these are not. This isn't an active boost circuit. These are active pickups, so no battery, no sound. I do like the safety element of having the, oh god, the battery's gone, right, passive mode. Not as boost, but you can still continue the gig sort of thing, or you don't have to use your space, you don't have to borrow a bass. Whereas the active, it's like, nope. And the thing is as well, because this has obviously been aftermarket modded to have the battery, well, the battery's there, it's quite easy to get at. If you take off all the pickguard screws, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then it comes off quite easily. It's quite easy to change it in, but you have to take out 13 screws, ideally not lose any of them, put the new battery in, put it back and put 13 screws back in again. You can take the scratch plate off this without touching the strings though. It kind of slides out quite easily, so there is that. And to be honest, you could put I could have offered to put a battery box in it, but I mean, it's too nice a bass to do that to, and especially seeing as I've got a feeling this is like an early 70s Fender body, which an early 70s Fender body you don't want to be gouging any extra holes in it, so it could go back to original. Nothing here has been modified beyond. Obviously, it's got active pickups in it. You could put original, whatever the Fender ones were in it, back in it, and put in back in the normal controls. No damage done. So either jealous of this one. This is really nice. It's just got that thing about not being worth as much as it's worth as it should be, because it's not really. I don't really know what it is. I don't know if anyone else does. I think maybe if you looked it up and did a bit of research, and it would maybe. I mean, this neck is one of the best P bass necks I've ever played, and I'm comparing it to like my Schecter and stuff like that. It really is, and the slightly strange carve of it is really nice. I think it might even be asymmetrical. I think it might be higher on the top. It seems to be thicker. How do we do this? Here than it does here. Does that make sense? So I think the back of the neck, instead of being like that, it's a bit more like that. So it seems thinner under the thin strings and fatter under the fat strings. Very nice. Rock on.